Hello everybody, sorry for the delay in getting this one started. I understand that Vertigo have already started their matchup versus Drakan Esports, but just give me a moment because I've had to quickly switch on over here to this broadcast, so 5 secs and I'll be right ready to go. I think it's only 2-0 up right now, so it's okay. But here we are. Okay, we're good to go, I think. Things have started. Vertigo Gaming are 2-0 up. Last night they had a wonderful matchup where they went themselves, I think, 16-0. So they'll be looking for a lovely little victory here to kind of follow on from that same success they found themselves experiencing yesterday. This time it is on Mirage, not Overpass. But should be, well, at least they're hoping for it to be, a similar result. Already 2-0 up, broken the back of what seemed to be a second round bye coming in from Drakan. But they should be okay in this one. At least this round. There's not really going to be much in the way of adversaries against them here. 2 HP already on Sulosis, and that's going to mean that Schmidt should be able to clean things up rather nicely. If he takes refuge behind this van, he should have plenty of space still to work with as he gets run down. It's just occupying the minds of more players as they take free reign over the A site. Doesn't matter anyway, because Schmidt's done it all by himself. He's found himself 3 frags over at B. The remaining 2 players are stationed in 2 varying positions, but Puffin has dealt with one of them. And it's just Rewind left. So he's left up 1 versus 5 with nothing more than a USP and a Zeus. I'm afraid, my friend, that you're not going to stand much of a chance, even with the upgraded IKEA pistol. The Danes start things off exceptionally well. And they should be able to take down Rewind here too, and they has been done. So Vertigo Gaming get a lovely 3-0 start, something they were hoping to do, and they have done so rather comfortably. So Schmidt, plan, still sticking with those Mac 10s by the looks of things. They're going to be up against Glass Cannon AWP in Suolis. Suolis, got there in the end. They're going to be up against that Glass Cannon AWP. They've also got another AWP out from Mamba here as well. So double AWP setup coming in from Drakan. Looks like this assault is going to be a 2-fronted one. The bomb and another player who's guarding it is going to be out in towards the back of Palace. Meanwhile, the main body of the assault looks to try to be goading out some shots over towards B. And already they've done that. Plan's done really well. He's got Schmidt in reserve too. But now in comes the fight. It's going to be TMS with that bomb to now try and get that planted. But he doesn't have the assistance of a majority of his team now, considering as those 2 players are out over towards B. They need to try and make their way in. And TMS needs to try and fight his way on out. He's done a great job so far, and will even go one better as he takes down that Glass Cannon that Suosis actually was holding on to. Somehow that round of the 2-prong assault actually works nicely. It throws a massive spanner in the works for Drakan. They don't quite know what they're going to be able to do with that one in the end, and Vertigo get themselves rather comfortably up to a 4-0 start. Should be once again breaking the back of the economy here as well. And Drakan, jump over, get on in. They're going to go with this Deagle. Already, JW Fox opens things up nicely. Azenji is gone. That's a recovered AK-2. Onto the player who's got armor and a kit. That's probably best case scenario as well. He's likely to be left in a clutch. He'd be the one player you'd want up. Deagle's still spamming away. Rewind actually finds a bit of damage onto himself. HE grenade back in from JW Fox will do a little bit of a tickle damage. There's now Plant. It's trying to just cook up a little bit of a storm here. A little bit of damage on the site, but is he going to be ready for Horlegeen? Horlegeen? I don't know. Let's just go with Horlu. Well, it doesn't matter if he's ready for Horlu or not, because Rewind is going to be the player to take him out. A 5 versus 3 here. As JW Fox comes into fire, but also ends up firing back onto TMS. He's managed to retreat all this way without being spotted by the players of Vertigo. And now this is where I really must call into question what Vertigo's play call is here. In a round where they're up against pistols and really nothing more, they need to do something more inventive than just this. They've stalled things out and they've been picked off one by one as players have gone for individual reconnaissance missions. The main onus of this one now is going to be on Schmidt. He's up against 3 players, 2 of which are low and only have pistols. The one of which, though, is going to be a little bit more hard to try and fend off against in Horlo. But now Suolsis has managed to get himself onto a AK as well. Schmidt here is going to be the key man. What can he get done with this Mac 10? 1. Needs to find a second with that 2. Unfortunately, can't do so. So now the onus falls onto Puffin. AWP in hand. Both players are chipped at, but one significantly lower than the other. A missed shot with the AWP as he's stuck now behind Firebox. Needs to get that M4 out the hands quickly. Gets one, but I'm afraid the M4 might be too far of a reach as he's just peeking out round the corner. Doesn't quite have the drop on him. And then Horlo will give the first round to Drakan. The first round that Vertigo Gaming have conceded in ESEA Open thus far. Now Drakan have a full buy up against the same from Vertigo. The last of the dregs of the economy that Vertigo actually have here. Lovely flash peek in there from Vertigo. Schmidt and TMS linking up very nicely over towards this B site, but the AWP doesn't find its mark first time of asking. Puffin and TMS both finding frags. That is a bit of a slow reaction there from Drakan. Now over the top in towards Sandwich. Should be another free frag found onto JW Fox. And it's just Horlo is all that remains. Schmidt has got his number though. He's figured out where he is, and Schmidt is just raining over this B site. There's really been no luck found here for Drakan at all over at B. They've been dismantled over there time and time again, whether it's by a Mac 10, a 2-player prong over there, or just the whole team as it is, or one lurk. Most of the time it is Schmidt, though. Once again, over at this B area is just really the Guardian. Found 11 frags now in just 6 rounds. Into the 7th, he's found his 11th. This is a really nice start from him. We saw him go almost flawless yesterday as well in the 16-0 they had. And they know that they've got the advantage of weaponry here, so they're just holding things back for Vertigo. And they're letting these pistols come and peek into them. They're more than okay to do this. You can see that Rewind and Horlo are just so far back now that the rest of their team have gone. It basically gives Vertigo free reign of whichever site they want to go to. That is going to be a far from optimal Molotov, but it's made up for. It's a nice shot from Rewind, though. We need to find a few more of those if you want to try and win the round. Otherwise, they just look flashy on a highlight reel. And I fear that is really all that is going to be. Rewind and Horlo both really don't have much to say about this. Especially now that Horlo's taken out. And the same fate should befall Rewind very shortly. He's been completely pinched in. And now dispatched with by plan. Now, what is next for Vertigo? Well, it seems to be a little bit of the old faithful. You know, when everything is working, what is the true litmus test for how much you can get away with? It is rush speed on stop, and that is exactly what they've gone ahead and done. Look at that. Azenji, TMS. Azenji's just not even fearful. He's walking through his own team's Molotovs. Finally been taken down, but TMS there for the trade. No worries. Big bueno. JW Fox is going to get picked off by Schmidt, who's lurking out towards middle. And this is looking all too easy for Vertigo. So far, in 2 matches, all they've conceded is 1 round. Lovely shots already opening up the round. It's another one of these half buys coming in from Drakan. It should be relatively easy here for Vertigo. A few missed shots from JW Fox, but he ultimately does get away with the kill. I fear not much more than that, especially now that one player has been called out in window. They're going to wrap back for the bomb. I'd likely, as not in this situation, if I'm the in-game leader here of Vertigo, call this one to go to B. You've seen active rotations now from 2 players, one inside the ramp, one inside of window. So now I'd be calling this one to head out. B will be the easier site to fight, especially with the AK being over at A as well. Horlo will be the only player defending here. Bomb dropped out the window, just so Puffin can have the vantage point up here inside of the apartments. If anyone wants to go peeking into him. Well, straight into the crosshair is definitely not going to be the place you want to go. No, a second one's there. The scout actually does tag Puffin on the cross, but will be quickly dealt with. Does tag TMS too. That does help JW Fox's chances. Question is does he really fancy his chances? And I don't think he does all that much. He's running away. Is going to let this one get up to 8 here for Vertigo Gaming. And Drakan, once again, don't really have much. Drakan still will have a buy now in this round. They're still bestowing this AWP onto Mamba. They really are giving him a lot of credence for this. They want him to be the one to make it work. Already, he's found something with it this time around. It's a missed shot from Puffin that gives him the opportunity to find him. The AWP dropped here for Vertigo. Not like they're exactly short of cash on some of these players either, but that's a nice start. Schmidt will boost up his teammate. Straight into Rewind's crosshair, though. TMS falls a very nasty fate. The Molotov goes in just to deter any players from peeking into Schmidt for a moment. He wants to have a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit of freedom, a little bit of place to move around in. Plan grabbing JW Fox, who has been caught in that aggressive position quite a few times now. I mean, a few rounds ago, it was Puffin who caught him back there at an AWP in a 2 versus 4. And now this same time again in a 4 versus 3. They've given away the man advantage by letting JW Fox push a little bit too aggressively. And again, when you don't have the information of where the T's are, going for plays like that and not having the drop on angles like that is really kind of damaging. You can see now that Drakan Esports are basically relying here on them not checking this hard right corner. And would you believe it? They haven't checked it. Vertigo Gaming have not gone and checked that corner, and Horlo has actually managed to go for 2. He now has to rely on Schmidt, but I don't think there's the time here for the full round. Schmidt will just try and get away with the AWP. And Drakan, because Horlo is just left unguarded and even unthought about in the B site, it gets away with being 8-1, now 8-2. Now Drakan. Trying to put something more together. They want to string a few more rounds in now, but in comes a full execution hit here by Vertigo. And so far it's been dealt with rather nicely here by Drakan. There's nothing really going for them. Everything's been picked up. The only thing to have dropped is the AWP, and Puffin with the T-sided AWP here is almost certainly going to be dealt with any second now. He's been spotted. He should be sought out any moment. Seeing the first shot, grabbing the second. 1 versus 3 on the cards, but on 4 HP, don't fancy all that much. We're going to be run down here any second by an AK. It looks like Puffin just wants to try and get away. Whilst they have a lot of money on some players, they don't have a great deal on one man. Azenji just doesn't have a lot. Oh my, Puffin's found a way in here. The only thing he's not sure about will be the position of one player at the back of the B site. Oh my god! There is no way, Puffin! You are Superman. You have X-ray vision. You can see through the bench. You picked it perfectly. Horlo has no idea what just happened. And now you, on 4 HP, are on the precipice of finding a 1 versus 4. JW Fox is all that stands in your way, and as of yet, he is yet to encroach onto the bomb site. This is such a shallow angle as well. An AK would not be able to spot this particular one as easily. All that needs to happen here as well is that Puffin can just peek onto the bomb at the right time. Smoke down onto it though. It's not a great smoke, but it's good enough that will stop Puffin from being able to cheek it. Goes for the spray through it, and Puffin has clutched a 1 versus 4 against players he can't even see, against players he doesn't know are there, and then just 4 HP to his name. Can you believe it? Vertigo Gaming have been gifted a wonderful flightless bird that seemingly is quite good at CSGO. Danish side are counting their lucky stars that their AWPer has been able to produce that level of brilliance here in round number 11. Should give them a free 10th round now as well off the back of that, because there is no way in hell that he deserved anything in that round. Drakan now have nothing to work with. 1 for Mars is picked up, but very soon that's going to be dealt with as it gets aggressive in towards the ramp room again. JW Fox loves to get aggressive over towards A, and whilst that might be calculated aggression to some, to others that is just shortcomings, and that is, you know, giving away free picks quite often. Rewind is going to be just held behind the smoke there, and really won't have much to say in this round unless he can able to get one little swift peek. But Azenji's position on top of the ticket booth will be enough to finish the round up. Schmidt and Plan grab the other 2 players. Vertigo Gaming go 2-10, getting themselves up to a very comfortable 8-round lead now. Will finally be back up against the bye. It won't be great in terms of utility here from Drakan Esports, or at least they'll be missing some things like head armor. It got most of the things they could want, though. Affording a miss on 2 kits, but managing to get head armor on most players, even though it's not really an essential on the CT side. Very aggressive play once again from JW Fox, throwing pretty much all of his utility in towards ramp early. Mamba now gifting a peek for his teammate in towards underpass, but again, nobody there. And this is already a lot of utility used by the CT side with no real cause. You can see it's like, hey, let's get an aggressive peek in towards T-ramp. Okay, that doesn't work out. So what are you going to do then? You're going to flash and put a bunch of utility down in towards underpass? Yeah, I suppose so. This time around, though, this time the utility has afforded a frag. A spam through the wooden window has managed to get Suolsis a quick frag onto Schmidt, but it doesn't matter when Azenji and TMF has been allowed safe passage. They've just been allowed to lurk out onto the A site. You spent so much time earlier, JW Fox, doing so much with utility here that now it doesn't matter. You've used it all up, you have nothing to defend the site with, and now the T's can swarm it. They're all over it now like a rash, and now they just have to basically fall back and defend this bomb plant. They've planted it for both up here in Palace and T-ramp. And it's a one-dimensional retake coming in from Drakan Esports now as well. They have 3 players all holding down here towards the back of CT. That's a nice shot from solidifying to get first things started. TMS now gone, but already trading back with the AWPs is nice enough. ASNG can swoop on out with the assistance of Plan. They can grab the AWP too, and that will give themselves their 11th, knocking Drakan back onto what seems to be another half buy. So there should be another easy round for Vertigo Gaming here. Buying down to about $2,500 per player will afford Drakan Esports to buy in the final round of the half, but it is increasingly looking like Vertigo Gaming will be able to secure themselves 13 rounds this half with how they've been performing. Scout goes for an early aggressive stance, gets a very damaging pick onto Schmidt, but I can't imagine that will deter him from going forward. He has been an absolute bullet so far this game. Just only knows one direction, and that is forward. Orlo is now looking to try and find a head. Oh, he's done so perfectly. ASNG taken down, but that's not going to deter, again, players from crossing in towards the site now. They know that he's not going to be there for much longer. JW Fox has found Plan out in the middle of well. Horlo now finally taken down. Can't do much more than what he's already done. JW Fox has been able to recover an AK too, so damage definitely available to be done here. However, Rewind has been found by Schmidt, who had an inkling that he was playing from that position. Up inside of the apartments now is going to be the next key position to take a look at, but Schmidt on 10 HP, taken down. AK recovered now by Mamba too, leaving Puff in. Now just TMS actually to fight this one alone. He can't do it. Mamba with nothing this round, mind you. Drakan are able to find themselves their third round. I said it was looking increasingly likely that Vertigo are going to find themselves 13, but Drakan, with nothing more than pistols, have managed to upgrade things rather nicely to an AWP for the final round of the half, something that otherwise they likely as not would not have been able to afford two of. And now they can. Double AWP setup to finish out the half here. Looking for 4-11. Vertigo still have plenty of money to buy themselves out of this hole very nicely. Got everything they could ever want. Head armor and full utility. All the upgraded pistols there as well they could ever need. And Vertigo are quite healthy and wealthy going in towards the end of this first half. Should be a straight shootout, as Mamba has gone increasingly aggressive here in towards Palace. And it will reap rewards this time around. He will get dinked through the edge of the wall though. Schmidt would have been fast enough if he would have just been a little bit further round the corner. And now Drakan are exchanging damage with different players here, but so far they still hold the advantage. And that's going to be very nice for them. So far they haven't really had too many situations where they've had the luxury of this advantage. Over the top of the smoke as well, a little bit of a one-way there for solidifying. Takes down the AWP of Puffin. ASNG will now take up the mantle of his fallen brethren. No one peeking, I'm afraid, over at B. And that looks like where they want to try and take the bomb. TMS is the big player here. He's on the lurk. Through up middle. He's managed to get up short rather nicely. Now he needs to try and find Rewind on the cross before Rewind finds him. Unfortunately, it is the latter of the two that's managed to work out. Rewind's grabbed him first. ASNG will now try and hold the doorway with the AWP. Rewind not going to be peeking that one right away. Bomb still needs to get towards the site as well. And it's not going to be a freebie to do that. Plan has decided he wants to go and peek across the window. Trying to bait stuff out with the plant. Oh, it would have worked out, but ASNG switches weapons at the wrong moment. Goes to the bomb. And Plan is just clearing out these angles. So now they are pretty confident that it can only be the apartments behind them or right in front of them where they're going to be looking at market. And Nade skittles out, but won't skittle ASNG just yet. Plan holds. He's got the assistance of ASNG as they find the first, second, and the third. It's fantastic. As soon as one is pulled, the Jenga tower, well, it just falls down there for Drakan. They all come out at the same time. It's a nice idea, but just not quite right in execution. In the end, Vertigo Gaming, 12-3. A very, very comfortable half for them. Moving on to the CT side of things, just need the pistol. One round after that. That should be a freebie if Drakan do choose to concede in such a way. And then they can win the gun round. And then they should be looking down the barrel of a nice little 15th round. But, of course, whatever Vertigo Gaming were able to do in the first half, Drakan are also able to do in the second. So let's not count them out of this one just yet. Whilst it does look unlikely, it's not completely impossible. But so far, Vertigo have proven to be head and shoulders above in terms of gameplay, mistakes made, all that kind of stuff. They've been the team to really make it work.
jump peeking at the moment for Vertigo. Really nothing to be found, but now it's all coming out of top middle. The Glocks have done quite a good job at gushing down a few players, or more to the point, just TMS. But here comes Puffin. He's grabbed one, grabbed a second, now looks to swing out for a third, but he's got assistance from his teammates in window as well, but he's done so. Third, now looking for the fourth, can't quite grab it. Schmidt will be coming around the corner though, and I'm sure that he'll be able to find it instead, and this entire T-side pistol has fallen apart. For me, the question has to be asked, if you've got no assistance from utility going out over the top of middle, why are you trying to do it against weapons that inherently on the CT side will have superior range to you? The Glock is not good at getting those long-range duels, not nearly as good as the USP is anyway. The USP in that instance will reign supreme. If I'm on a pistol round like that and I want to go for an all-out strat where I just fire 4 people into the same area, middle would not be the place I would elect to do it. Puffin, this time around, though, is going to be under some heavy fire from the Glocks at top middle. He does have the AUG, though, and that still is a decent enough weapon that you can pick some heads with it, especially at long range against some Glocks. So, should be good for another. One more player up at top middle, which Plan is able to dispatch with, leaving just Rewind in a 1 versus 5 with literally nothing in his hands. Rewind finished off. Schmidt, the player to do it. 14 rounds on the board now for Vertigo. This has been a very swift map so far, and they're looking to try and continue that form here, but they'll finally be against the full buy. Vertigo in themselves, not going to look to upgrade any of their weapons just right now. They've got 2 MP9s, 3 MP9s in fact, still sticking around for the party. And they're looking to see if they can try and bonus round this one up. If not, shouldn't be a problem. They should still have a buy in the next round regardless. Might not be as good as what they have right now in terms of utility. But in terms of overall firepower, it will certainly be a lot better. We go for 1 for 1, 2 for 1. Mamba's able to stay alive against the heavy fire of both MP9s. M4 from Schmidt still trying to spam away, but Suolsis is in a great position here. Well, Suolis. And Suolis picks things up. Picks up the slack that's been dropped. And now gives that slack right on back, as Puffin is able to grab himself an additional frag. The remainder of the players are starting to lurk out on towards A now. Rewind has finally dealt with the only defender over there. Asenji now dealt with. Smoke down in towards CT. Puffin to clutch. 1 versus 3. He's on a 1 versus 4 already. That was with the AWP. This round might be a little bit more difficult. A site, no information. Still utility in the hands of the T's, which is now going to be expended here by Mamba. So many angles to clear, so little time to do so. And he should be done with pretty quickly. Goes for the smoke onto the bomb, hopes they're not watching, but Mamba, he is. He's the player to turn the tides in that round. Up in top middle. Doesn't matter though, because the full buy will still be in here from Vertigo. They'll have that AWP back in the hands of Puffin. They'll have everybody on a rifle. Schmidt, of course, on a FAMAS, but that's not to worry. Top performer can definitely try and make it work. The main problem for Drakan here is going to be the AWP. It's something I don't really have the profile right now to contend with. That AWP is going to get stationed over the top. Just looking towards middle, where there's going to be nothing really fighting for now. 2 players sit on the A site. Again, this is just one of those early round defaults where Drakan are trying to play for a little bit of information. Just kind of scouting things out across the map, trying to goad out some of the CT side utility, which they've done, admittedly, a pretty good job of so far. And now JW Fox will go back for the bomb. And this should give an indication as to where Drakan want to go with this particular hit. It's looking like they're not quite sure. You could see that JW Fox on the minimap was kind of hesitating, dancing around in the back of the T-spawn there to try and figure out where they wanted to go. But it looks like in the end, they're going to elect on A. I think it'll just be out of ramp and palace is all they're really going to be looking for here. Puffin flashed off.
over at B. That'll be one of the frags found. As long as that doesn't elicit any overzealous rotations coming in. JW Fox is ready on the draw, though. He has an indication, an inkling as to where TMS might be. Molotov extinguished immediately by a friendly smoke. Does not seem like the best of ideas there from Drakan. It will give Vertigo Gaming an opportunity to live and reposition. Better than that, it'll give Schmidt an opportunity to live and reposition too. Over the top of the staircase, grabs one on top of the firebox, and then Plan will dispatch with Horlo, who's playing back in towards the ramp. And that gives enough time for a full 10-second defuse and for players of the CT side to scavenge the site for whatever weaponry they can find. Schmidt would definitely like to get off of that FAMAS and gets up to the AK. 15th round acquired here for Vertigo. Looking like a bit of a formality for them. Drakan are not really having much to say about it. Some of the rounds are coming down to be a little bit close, but ultimately in the clutch moments, and where it really matters, the crux of things is where things generally seem to get a little bit better for Vertigo. Vertigo now should be in a position to close this one out, especially with Plan finding that first frag. The utility on the side of Drakan have they forced into this round with the AK-47s is not going to be fantastic. So therefore the utility advantage and obviously firepower advantage with the AWP in play as well is certainly going to be favouring Vertigo Gaming. Especially now that they've got Azanji on the A site picking off yet another frag, a 5 versus 3. It almost looks like it is inevitable at this point. Azanji still sits on the back of the site, just playing these off angles, places that Horlo was never really going to predict. In the end, the bomb back out towards the very back of the B apartments. Mamba holds for the time being, with his teammate JW Fox going back to retrieve that bomb. But the odds don't look good. It looks like Vertigo might be onto a winner. And they are. Plan, Schmidt, close it out sensationally. 16-4 for the CTs. For Vertigo, they get that one nailed. They do it very nicely. And in the end, it all works out. Would you look at that, ladies and gentlemen? It me. We're here. But there it is. 16-4 overall over the last 2 days. That is 32-4 for the Vertigo side. A very nice little run for them so far in ESEA Open. 2-0 up. Lovely stuff. And, well, there we go. Worked out rather nicely. Vertigo, getting me on their cast, seems to be a bit of a good luck talisman. A lovely little charm that they can rely on to get themselves some good wins. But anyway, thank you guys very much for tuning in this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring you this broadcast, even though it was a couple of rounds late. Obviously overrunning from Peak and Lucendi that I was doing just beforehand. But if you want to follow me, very helpfully, I believe Vertigo just put the link in the chat to my Twitter. If you want to hire me, you can do so there too. But I'll be back hopefully later on in the season with some more Vertigo matches. As soon as they get their match schedule for the coming weeks, I'll be right there with you hopefully to bring you some more of the action. Thank you as always for tuning in. Been an absolute pleasure, and I'll see you another time. Peace out.